morning. Welcome to the 9th edition of
The ninth edition already?
Ninth edition
Oh my God.
already. We're flying through
Unbelievable.
of Flock Free's podcast, Rule the Roost.
Rule the Roost.
That's right. Brought to you in Freehold, New Jersey. Tom always likes to mention. We got Rob behind the scenes. And I will start with a bird joke this morning.
Oh, you have one?
I have one. I came
Okay.
prepared. All right. What do you call a bird that gets into trouble?
Bird that gets into trouble.
This is totally gettable.
I don't know.
A jailbird.
That's a good one.
It's so bad. I
that's
think
pretty
Hunter
good.
could have wrote that
It's
one.
not bad.
Okay. Well,
ChatGPT this morning.
that's right. We just wanted to have one for record, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Make it legit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Paul. So it's pretty nice that we get to take over the air today.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Get out of the office.
Yep.
Get away from the machines for an hour or two.
Yeah, that helps. You know,
Right?
it gets monotonous after a while. So.
I was thinking of something that we could get started with today. It dawned on me that one of the things I love hearing about is your block yard experience. You like over coffee talk in the kitchen, you'll reminisce a lot. And that's pretty special because this isn't your first family business.
Right.
And that speaks volumes to how you've helped create Flock Free and the way that we operate today. It's in your bones.
Yeah. Well, it goes back many, many years. When I was a kid, at 12 years old, all the other kids used to go fishing, go to the beach. No, not me. I had to go to the block plant and work. So we worked at the block plant. I mean, simple things like broom sweeping, shoveling,
Right.
learning about the machines, and that's where my experience really came in, because after a while, I ran the block plant, and it's a huge place with hydraulics and electricity and
Sure.
electrical components, and so I learned a lot of what I know now, and a lot that I take a lot from the block yard to Flock Free, especially with the machines and out on the field
Right.
from that experience. So it helped a lot. It was a great time, you know, growing up in the block plant. I met a lot of people, learned how to navigate around a lot of people as well, because everybody's different and there's a lot of different personalities that you come across.
Right. I could definitely say that I think it taught you patience because you've given me a lot of examples of, you know, when I'll get like high stress in the office, you'll be like, no, this is just how the nature of the business is sometimes, and working with those different personalities.
Yeah.
So I've come to appreciate your experiences
Oh,
as well.
thank you.
Yeah.
And, you know, in any business, you have ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and it's a good thing, actually. Sometimes something that goes wrong is a good thing because you learn from that and you bring it to the next phase, and you don't make those same mistakes,
Right.
but that's how you get better.
Right.
So we're having a lot of fun, though.
Yep. And you know, what I think in my head is of Fred Flintstone. When you do talk about the block yard, I
Right.
feel like you're like sliding down the Brontosaurus at the end of the
Yeah.
day. I'm sure it wasn't like that, but
No.
that's what I kind of have in my head.
It was a highly
sometimes.
technical field, actually. People think it's just cement and sand. No, we had molds. We had a lot of hydraulics. It was extreme hydraulic,
Dangerous.
very dangerous.
Right.
I mean, we had a lot of guys that got hurt. Thank God I never got hurt. I mean, just very mild, nothing critical, but it was like very dangerous.
Well, that's why you set such, you've implemented such safety standards, OSHA qualified standards in our warehouse.
Right. I'm always
Right.
very cautious about that. Eyes.
And in the field, working with scissors,
and in the field,
booms,
with the
tethered
booms.
off on a roof. Right.
Exactly. I'll give you a good story. One time, I was with my nephew, David D'Ambrisi, and
ATL.
ATL maintenance. So we're at a store, and we're on a lift. We're like 30 feet in the air. And
Time out. All technicians are lift and boom certified, by the way.
absolutely.
Correct. Keep
Right.
going.
So from my experiences as a young kid, 12 years old, working, I used to drive forklifts at 12 years old.
Wow.
Loaders, bulldozers, whatever you had, I could drive. Right. Big 18 wheelers, we would jump in there. My uncle would say, "Hey, move that truck. We got to learn how to move it."
Right.
Right. So we're on this lift, and we're about 25 feet in the air, and we had all the guards around the lift. That's protocol. So all of a sudden, I see a father and his little son walking by. The father is walking by, not really paying attention, but the son sticks his hand in between the lift, actually in between the scissor. So I turned to Dave. I said, "Dave, did you see that?" He goes, "What?" I said, "That young kid just turned and stuck his hand in between
Wow.
that scissor. So if you were coming down and didn't look, you would have taken his hand off.
Is that why you need two people though?
That's
right?
why you need
Somebody's
two
got a
people. And
spot,
sometimes
yeah.
with a special boom, you may need three as a spotter for
That-
down below because you never know what can happen.
Wow, that's
So,
crazy.
Yeah, so that's where that experience comes from, because a lot of times in a block yard years ago, we didn't have a lot of the safeties.
Mm-hmm.
And you were dependent on what you knew. So now, these days, people are backing up, the alarms are going off, and the person's just standing there. It's because they're not geared to that.
Right.
But the way we were taught, we're watching out. We're heads
Right.
up. My head was
And
on
you
the
can't
swivel.
trust people or paying attention.
You
just
can't. You
Nope.
can't.
Right.
So that's one little part of it.
Right. Well, that kind of is a segue into something I thought that you could speak at length on, is your experience on the road, on the roof, at job sites.
Right.
Thinking back on a timeline for our company, we really started off commercially. That was commercial bird control, was our expertise to get us started. And only really over and after COVID did we really start going into homeowner marketing
Right.
and rolling out products for DIY. But we really started commercially, and our biggest projects and most regular service was rooftop applications,
Right.
installing automated equipment such as our hazers, our misting systems, and all that stuff would put you on a roof.
Right.
All over the country, in other countries.
Yeah, we traveled all over the country installing. At that time, it was the Hoot Hazer.
Right, that was
And
our first model.
That was our first model, and then we went to a Tweedzilla model, then to a Moby model, and we went to all different models for certain specific reasons. But the Hoot was the first one because of the fact that it held 5 gallons of fluid. It lasted a long period of time. It was very economical and affordable. And then we realized, hey, this is a big machine. Let's cut it down. Let's make it a little bit smaller and see what we can do to make it more, applicable.
Well, that allowed us to bring them inside and underneath canopies. The Hoot was strictly a rooftop application.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's,
That was
great.
really how we started, I feel
That's how we started with the Hoot.
Right.
Right. So, and to this day, I was talking to Tori, your sister, the other day, that I have a couple of brand new Hoots that I just keep in display, and at some point we're going to
They're
show.
artifacts now.
They are artifacts, actually, but we want to show what's the word? Like a timeline of
Sure.
of the machines, how they went from this to that,
Evolution.
evolution of the
Got it.
machine. Yeah, and that machine was great because of the fact that at the time took a lot of man hours to figure out how to create the haze and to make it economical, because at the time we were using the EcoBurst 4.0, and it's very expensive fluid.
Yes.
So we were trying to find a way where we could extend the amount of time that to actually economically
Right.
make it reasonable for the customer.
Right, because people were in its liquid form just pouring it out.
Yeah.
And we're talking it goes for over $200 a gallon now.
Right,
But
right.
10, 15 years ago, it was still $180. It was always an expensive product.
Very expensive.
Successful, it worked, but to try to get longevity out of your investment.
Right. That was the thing. So right now, all our machines can get, with whatever duty cycle we put into the machine, we can get any amount of time we want. I could make that machine run out of product in 1 month or 5 months. Doesn't matter. It all depends on the cycle that we put in. But the key to it is, though, that we create a dry haze. So with the EcoBurst 4.0, when we create that haze, it's lighter than air. So and plus it's so dry that if you put your hand in front of the machine and let it run, there's nothing wet, because
Right.
it's lighter than air. It wants to rise. It never comes down, and then after a certain amount of time, it'll start to dissipate.
Right.
So it's a good product. It's a good product. And it only affects birds in flight. Doesn't affect birds when they land. And that's one thing with the Hoot Hazer. What we did was we had a rooftop application one time, and we were running really, really well, and we affected the birds in flight. But we realized that the birds were actually coming down below the haze. They're very, very intelligent. So we put another a nozzle on there to create a heavier haze that would drag along the roof and then basically lift up and dissipate up in the air. So it was a good machine at the time. Then basically we needed something for down below in certain racking situations, warehouses, and that's where we created our Tweedzilla model.
Right, and that has half the size holding tank.
Right.
Correct. And both of them have their place, but that one probably had more installations just because of its size,
right.
And it was easier to install.
And it's low profile.
Right.
It's low profile.
It blends in.
Blends in. No one knows that it's there. It's just putting out this haze. You smell an odor, a grape odor. It's a very good smelling product. And it keeps the birds away. It works really, really well.
But you have to keep those birds in flight. So we do get, or we used to anyway, get lots of photos of a little pigeon perched right on top of the Hazer with an email, my Hazer isn't working. But that wasn't the case. It was just the bird wasn't in flight. So it wasn't
actually, that's an indication that the machine is working, because what a lot of people call me and say, Paul, the birds are just sitting on the ground. They're around the machine, or they're further away. I said, that's a good thing. I said, they're working now. Now we have to use another product.
Right.
And here's the other product that we have right here is our tank mix product. And this tank mix product is actually sprayed on with a backpack blower. We use it, we dilute it either with 4 ounces, 6 ounces, or 8 ounces of per gallon of water, depending on the bird species. But this product works. I can install this in a Hazer with a different nozzle, but the product is not meant to really stay up in the air. It comes down and it leaves a residual where it gets on the birds. The birds preen themselves. It gets into their nerve endings in their beak, which is a trigeminal nerve, and affects them in that way. So these two products work well together. We have another machine to get into the misting machine that we install, where we run at least 800 feet of line every 10 foot. There's a nozzle, so we can run around a warehouse or a particular building and control it and have the machine go off whenever we need to.
And that has a 55-gallon drum holding. So that's for a real industrial or commercial location where you want to get full coverage and fill it up once and not touch it again for a couple months.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right.
So I would say, since our inception of doing the commercial services, EcoBird was all that existed at the time. So that's what we were putting in all our machines. That's what product we knew how to use. You patented machines based around this chemical alone.
That's correct. Right.
The pros of this is that the pros were that it's effective, but the cons are that it was expensive and that you need a pest control license to work with that product. To
refill the machine.
Right, and at least in a commercial setting.
That is correct.
Right.
So, that's why we came up with this product right here. And it's so effective, it's just ridiculous. It's just the way it's implemented and applied to certain areas. But the tank mix product can also be used in our machines, depending on the nozzle that we install in the machine. Now, I talk about the nozzle. The nozzle is key because the nozzle that in the machine right now creates that light haze. And what we do is we set the machine off, and when that machine goes off, it shoots the fluid back into the tank, and then we create that haze, and we refilter the haze with the fluid that's in the tank. Then it comes back out. It's lighter than air, but it can also be done with this product. So the Tweedzilla is very versatile,
right?
With using whatever product we need to use.
And the tank mix is all natural ingredients. It does not require a pest control license to handle. Right. And it's considered generally safe. It's 25B. So it's void of needing federal registration.
And it's very, very cost effective.
Very cost effective.
Right.
So that's where I would say our transition, there's still room and a necessity for EcoBird.
Yeah.
We still use EcoBird all the time.
All the time.
But when we can transition to tank mix as a more affordable option, that's what we'll push.
Right.
And
Exactly.
most of the time, they still need to be used together, like you were explaining.
Right.
If this is in the Hazer, you're probably still spraying this around the property via the backpack
Right.
spray.
We'll use a backpack
Right.
sprayer and hand spray the area and to get that residual. And it lasts about 2 weeks. And then, depending
Right.
on the rains, if it's an indoor parking garage, it'll last a very, very long time.
Yep.
And then we'll add another product to that as well, our Invisidye product to that,
Yep.
and which is very concentrated because the birds see in 4 spectrums of light, we see in 3. So to them, they see the whole area as being purple. It gives them a visual
right.
marker.
And I can understand how this is confusing. This is a lot of information.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
a lot of products. It's a lot of liquid products. So you can always contact us at Flock Free. We'd be happy to explain which is the right for your application. We take bird species, location into consideration, where you are in the country, temperatures, all that good stuff. We have a lot of experience, and we can help you come up with the right combination.
The right balance.
Right.
Now, you just brought up something, Maria, I just wanted to go over.
Sure.
With the EcoBird 4.0 or even the tank mix, you do have to know how to hang the machine to where you're going to locate that machine. Now, you can locate the machine at ground level, or you can put it at least 8 feet up in the air, and that's probably the highest point I would ever go.
Explain to me what makes you determine where you're installing it, and what could happen if you don't install it correctly.
Well, a lot of times when I go to a location, I'm installing a machine, which is basically going on the outside of a wall like this with our bracket that we create. It keeps it far enough away from the wall. A lot of times I'll go on Google Earth and I'll see the prevailing wind, where that facility is located, because you have your prevailing winds coming from the west. So if I'm set straight against due west, and I'm in the wind, when that machine deploys and goes off, that haze is coming back and it's going to land on this wall, which we don't want to do. Okay. So we'll turn the machine a certain way or locate it somewhere else, and we always contact the whoever's on site that has that we can talk to and explain to them what we're doing.
Right.
A lot of times with the misting system that we have when we're running our product, it really doesn't matter because we're running this product on we're running that machine on top. The line on top of the roof.
So many nozzles you can point in different directions.
So it's just going off and just inundating the whole area and contaminating. I don't want to use the word contaminate, but
sure.
We're just saturating the whole area with the tank mix, which is great because it comes down and it basically acts like the EcoBird. But then it comes down and just lays in the area.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why we do our research and we do our homework before we get on the ground anywhere. We talk to a point of contact. We try to learn the bird behavior. We locate where the food and water sources are. All those things play a part in where we're going to install.
Absolutely, very important.
Right.
Yep.
And then, some of the things that come to my mind when I think of what is the 1 or 2 main reasons equipment fails in the field. If you had to ask me, I have my answer. Let me hear what your answers would be.
Well, a lot of times, this machine gets looked at every 3 months or so. The first thing you look at is the nozzle clog, and it's a very simple thing. Take the cap off, turn the nozzle upside down, spray a little goo-off fluid into the nozzle area. We have a little reamer that we run in and out of the orifice.
It's like a little bottle cleaner from what I remember. Right.
So, and basically it'll clean it and put it back in and start up your machine. There's a start button, start up, see if it pulls the fluid up, and in the front of the machine you'll see the haze come out. Once you see that, you know it's clean. The second thing is the compressor. The machine goes off 3 minutes, every 3 minutes from 5 o'clock in the morning
till hard working machine.
It really is to 8 o'clock at night, 2,000 hours or 2,200 hours. And it's working all day. It's a slave. So that compressor only has so much life in it. So, usually we get about 2 years out of a compressor, 3 years. Mm-hmm. I just got a machine back from 2013.
I believe so. And it was well over 10 years.
It was still running. The compression was a little low. So what we did was we swapped out the compressor, changed the compressor. But a lot of times, most of the components are still pretty good.
Right.
So we get a lot of life out of our machines.
We sure do. They're well made.
Very well made.
However, that doesn't mean that they're not susceptible to silly errors in the field. So in my opinion, the first call that I take and think of is, did you put power to the machine?
Yeah.
You would be surprised how many Hazers get installed and they never set up an outlet that's reliable to power the unit. Overfilling. People not looking at the refill line, getting fluid all over the internal components. I'm talking to the person that sees that most often.
Right.
Or just not filling them, not keeping up with their maintenance cycle.
Yeah.
As someone that takes a lot of calls on maintenance, those are the three things that usually 50% of the time is what's happening. That's not functioning. It hasn't been well maintained, or it doesn't have a reliable power source.
And overfilling is the greatest point because of the fact that that particular machine cannot be filled past a certain point.
Right.
Because that's where we create our haze. So when you fill it to that extent, what you're doing is you're backing up the pressure on the orifice, and then it's putting more strain on the compressor, and then one thing leads to another, and then we could possibly have a breakdown. Plus, when you overfill, you can spill the fluid into the tank, and this fluid especially is very, very acidic, and it wants to eat everything.
Right, it's oil-based.
It's oil-based product. This is a water-based product. That's why in the very beginning it took many man-hours to figure out how we're going to create this haze, because everything that we use, all the components that we use to create the Tweedzilla and the Hood and the Moby, the components were breaking down because of the simple fact that this fluid would break it down. It was very acidic. So we had to think about what we're using when it came to certain airlines, and we had to go to brass, we had to go to aluminum, we had to go to stainless steel. So there's a lot of things that we had to do to make that happen, and to create that little orifice. I mean, it was very intense. I mean, a lot of late nights trying to figure it out, and experimenting with different sizes and
going back and retrofitting older machines to get them up and working again. Right?
Exactly. Yep. So there's a lot of history there with that.
Yep.
But we got it to a point where it's like perfect now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of technical info. Let's take it a little lighter now.
Okay.
So you found yourself on a lot of rooftops.
Yeah.
Can you tell us any fun adventures from the roof? What's the craziest thing you ever saw on top of a roof while doing an install?
The craziest thing I ever saw on top of a roof.
And do I want to hear it?
Yeah, I think you do.
Okay.
It's nothing bad.
Okay.
But the craziest thing I ever saw on top of a roof was, I was actually in Neptune, New Jersey, on this big warehouse roof, and it was inundated with gulls. At the time, we had another machine on that roof. It was a Hood Hazer, actually. I'm going to say another machine. And we had it running really, really, really well. So the roof was pretty clean. And this was after about 2 or 3 months. And I'm walking the roof to check the machine. I get up to it, and I actually found a seahorse on the roof.
Oh, wow.
So a gull from the ocean, because, from that distance, it's got to be 15, 20 miles.
Yeah.
So one of those gulls picked up a seahorse from the Atlantic and brought it over and dropped it on that roof. It was about 4 or 5 inches long.
Fun.
So I took it home, kept it, I shellacked it, and for many, many years, my kids played with it and they looked at it. It was the funniest thing but to find a seahorse on the roof.
Yeah,
so,
that's surprising.
Yeah.
Oh,
so that was one of the things. But another funny thing that was, we were out in California, and I think I was with your uncle at the time, Joe Callahan, and it was dark. It was 2:00 in the morning. We were just getting ready to come down, and all of a sudden, all the lights went off everywhere. We're stuck in this roof. We can't get down, and we hear the fire department coming.
Oh my God!
And I said, Joe, can't be. He goes, oh my God. Fire department shows up.
SWAT team.
They think that somebody set off the alarm, so automatically they come. They show up. And luckily, there was one guy left at the store, and they were able to open up the hatch, unlock it, and let us down. Otherwise, we were just stuck there till the morning time.
Right.
So there's crazy things like that.
Sure. Well, yeah, you see a lot of stuff on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of late nights, because we do a lot of work overnight.
Yeah, we like to do it at night because we get a lot more done. And it's good for the customer. They like it, and our guys like it as well. We can get done this uninterrupted.
Customers are gone.
And it's more fun doing it at night.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're not setting off alarms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, was there anything else that I missed that you'd like to highlight about our hazers or about our liquid products?
No, I'd go over the liquid products again. Again, this is a liquid-based product. This is an oil-based product. Water-based, I'm sorry, water-based product. And our machines can handle whichever we need. And, we always get calls on what should I use, what shouldn't I use. So Tom and I always usually get pictures of the facility, or whoever's sending pictures in will give us certain aspects of what's going on at that level, what the bird activity, what type of birds. A lot of times we use Google Earth to navigate around and see what's going on with the site. And but no, that's about it. That's all I have, really.
Something that I would like to remind people that are thinking about purchasing Hazer, and when they call us for help or instruction on how to install, some things that you should remember to take into consideration are who's going to be maintaining the equipment when you're done. How often does it need to be refilled? We can help work out all those numbers and equations for you.
Well, that's where Maria comes into play, because she does a great job on that.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, you do. We have hundreds of machines out there where she's tallying all the different times and the refill schedules. And we have one right now pending with 7 machines out there that we're going to be refilling every 3 months. So she's in charge of it. A lot of times I'll call and say, Maria, I have this unit from, the serial number is 0043. So that tells me that's an old machine. And I showed your sister out the other day, Tori. And
I know where it's installed, who put it there, last time it's been serviced. Sure.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes we get a machine that was at a spot and it was at 3 or 4 locations already. So it's really good to know. Really good to know, because then we know who touched it, who was, who maintained it, who owned it.
Well, this stuff, is expensive, and I want to see people get longevity out of their investment and make sure that it is working on their property.
Right.
So if you don't maintain it, it's not going to get to do what it's meant to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing with our machines, they do not require a lot of amp power. So in other words, on one circuit, we're running like 3 to 4 amps, depending on the type of machine that we're installing. But our Tweedzilla or Moby, even the misting system is running on very, very low voltage and
it can use a standard outlet, correct?
Standard outlet, so there's no real draw to it. They really work really well.
The only real concern is if someone unplugs it because they want to plug in their power tool or something. So we do recommend the outlet get isolated if it can be.
Yeah, we did a good point. We did in Miami, Florida, big resort there. I mean, known throughout the world. I don't want to mention who it is right now, but
ooh, mysterious.
Yeah,
I like it.
But we had machines there for the longest time.
Justin, Paul, I like it.
So we got rid of their gulls and the seagulls that were flying in, and they called me up one day and they were like, "I don't know what's happening here, but your machines aren't working." So I said, "Well, I'm going to take a flight down. I'm going to check them out." I didn't realize they had the Madonna concert running at that facility.
Okay.
And they unplugged all the machines and put their speaker units into the machines. So when I got there,
ding, ding, ding.
Everything was unplugged. So I explained to them, I was like, well, they're not going to work if you don't plug them in.
Yep.
So they had to put them all on dedicated outlets. Yes. And that's one major thing that we always talk about. You need to have them on a dedicated outlet so that nothing else can interfere with the operation of that machine.
Right. Sound advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that was a good recap.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for sitting with me today.
All right.
I think we did okay without Tom. How about you?
I think they did pretty good.
Who needs in?
We'll see.